Your father taught you how to be good, but the world rewards those who are effective. This video corrects the fatal lessons you were never given, how men are truly judged, used, and discarded in a world ruled by power, not virtue. I am Niccolo Machiavelli, and I speak not to comfort you, but to arm you. Fathers often pass down morals meant for peaceful villages, not for hostile states. They teach honor without strategy, loyalty without leverage, and humility without protection. Yet the world you inhabit is not governed by fairness. It is governed by perception, fear, and advantage. In this discourse, I shall reveal the counsel a wise father should have given you, truths unpleasant to hear, yet essential to survive, ascend, and command respect in a world that quietly devours the naive. You were taught that virtue alone protects a man. Be honest, be kind, be fair. Yet look around you. Who rises and who is consumed? History answers without mercy. Those who possessed virtue without power were praised in speeches, then buried in silence. Consider the republics of Italy, fragile and proud. Many leaders loved justice more than strength. They kept clean hands, while others sharpened knives. Their goodness did not save them, it signaled weakness. When foreign powers arrived, virtue bowed before armies. Morality did not negotiate, power did. You live in the same structure, only disguised. Offices replace palaces, contracts replace swords, social approval replaces crowns. Yet the law remains unchanged. What cannot defend itself will be used. Ask yourself, when you insist on being purely good, who benefits most from that decision? Virtue without power is not noble. It is exposed. It invites the ambitious to test you, the cruel to exploit you, and the clever to harvest your labor while offering praise instead of protection. Have you noticed how often goodness is rewarded with more demands? That is not coincidence. It is psychology. People respect boundaries enforced, not values declared. A man who says, "I am fair," is admired until fairness costs someone advantage. Then he is pressured, shamed, or replaced. A man who can impose consequence, even rarely, teaches restraint without speaking. Which man do you think sleeps more peacefully? Fathers often teach goodness because they fear their sons becoming monsters. They forget another danger, becoming prey. Power does not require cruelty, but it demands capacity. Capacity to refuse, capacity to withdraw support, capacity to make others feel loss. Without this, virtue becomes a leash others hold. Look at Caesar before he crossed the Rubicon. He spoke of law and republic, but he first ensured loyalty, resources, and fear. His virtue followed his strength, not the reverse. Had he relied on goodness alone, history would remember him as a footnote, not a warning. In your life, this appears subtly. The co-worker who takes credit, the friend who borrows without returning, the family member who decides for you. Each time you tolerate, you teach them something. Not that you are kind, but that you are safe to use. Do you believe they misunderstand your virtue or understand it perfectly? Power begins internally. Emotional control, strategic silence, selective generosity. You do not announce your limits, you enforce them. You do not rush to prove goodness, you let others wonder. When you can walk away, you gain leverage. When you can impose absence, your presence gains weight. There is a quiet fear beneath excessive morality, the fear that without goodness, you have nothing else to offer. This fear creates men who overgive, over-explain, and overstay. They believe their virtue will be remembered when their usefulness ends. It rarely is. The world remembers pressure, not purity. When circumstances tighten, ideals are discarded first. Only those who can apply force, social, economic, or psychological, remain consulted. Ask yourself honestly, if you removed your virtue tomorrow, what power would remain? That answer reveals whether your goodness is chosen or imposed by weakness. Virtue should be displayed like fine armor, not soft skin, shown when it strengthens your position, hidden when it invites attack. This is not corruption, it is survival. Those who moralize openly often do so because they lack force. Those with force rarely need to. explain themselves. Ask yourself this uncomfortable question. If someone decided to harm your interests tomorrow, what would stop them? Your character or your capacity? If the answer is character, you are trusting their mercy. Mercy is unstable currency. The world respects what can resist. Once resistance is established, virtue can operate safely. Until then, goodness is a liability disguised as honor. In the next lesson, you will learn how respect is engineered, not earned, and why waiting for fairness is the longest path to obscurity. Respect is not a gift bestowed upon the deserving. It is a structure built by those who understand human fear and desire. You were told that if you work hard, speak honestly, and wait patiently, respect will arrive on its own. That belief keeps societies orderly and individuals powerless. Look at history. Kings were not respected because they were wise. They were respected because disobedience was expensive. When power faded, so did reverence. Crowns fell, statues were smashed, and yesterday's virtues were rewritten as flaws. Respect never belonged to morality. It belonged to consequence. Ask yourself, why do people listen to certain voices and ignore others? Is it truth, or is it the quiet understanding that ignoring them has a cost? Humans are not guided by fairness, but by calculation. Every interaction is weighed unconsciously. What happens if I comply, and what happens if I do not? Consider the Roman Senate. Senators spoke of tradit, ion and honor, yet their loyalty bent toward whoever commanded legions. Words filled the chamber, but swords decided outcomes. The illusion of respect was maintained until force rearranged reality. Applause follows power, never precedes it. In your world, power is rarely violent. It is social, economic, reputational. A manager commands respect not because of wisdom, but because they control access. A celebrity is respected because attention follows them. A man with options is respected because he does not need approval. Scarcity creates value. Dependence creates obedience. You may have noticed that when you are agreeable, people feel comfortable dismissing you. When you hesitate to say no, requests multiply. This is not because you lack worth, but because you have failed to price your cooperation. Respect emerges when your time, energy, and presence feel limited. Those who chase respect by pleasing others achieve the opposite. They signal abundance of availability and absence of consequence. Psychology is cruel here. The mind associates rarity with importance and ease with disposability. If you are always accessible, you are rarely valued. Think of the advisor who speaks little, yet when he does, the room quiets. His authority does not come from volume, but from selectivity. Silence, when chosen, unsettles others. It forces them to lean in. This is engineered respect. Fathers often say, "Be yourself, and they will respect you." What they omit is this: only a self that can withdraw, withhold, and withstand earns attention. Authenticity without leverage is ignored sincerity. Authenticity with leverage becomes leadership. In politics, rulers staged ceremonies not to celebrate virtue, but to condition perception. Pageantry, distance, controlled access. These were tools to elevate presence. You do the same unconsciously when you manage boundaries, respond slowly, and choose where to invest attention. Respect is shaped before it is felt. Ask yourself, how do people behave when you enter a room? Do conversations shift? Do requests soften? Or do they continue unchanged as if you were furniture? The answer reveals whether respect has been constructed or merely hoped for. To engineer respect, you must be willing to disappoint, to withhold explanation, to allow others to feel uncertainty about your reaction. Predictability comforts, but it also cheapens. Strategic ambiguity creates caution, and caution is the foundation of respect. This does not require cruelty, it requires discipline. You reward loyalty, but you do not beg for it. You are fair, but never fragile. When others sense that crossing you carries weight, they adjust without confrontation. Understand this clearly. People do not rise to your values, they adjust to your standards. Standards enforced shape behavior more effectively than virtues announced. This is not cynicism, it is observation. Once respect is established, kindness becomes powerful. Before it, kindness is ignored. Build the frame first, then decorate it. In the next lesson, you will confront why trust is often a strategic error and how alliances quietly become traps. Many resist this truth because it feels manipulative. Yet manipulation already governs your life, whether you wield it or suffer it. Every hierarchy is sustained by invisible agreements about consequence. Refusing to participate does not free you, it assigns you the lowest rank where your intentions matter least and your effort feeds stronger wills. Power ignored becomes power taken by those less restrained, always. Remember, trust is not a gift, it is a tool, and like any tool, it can build or destroy depending on who wields it and how. You have been taught that trust is sacred, that it should be given freely to those who seem deserving. But ask yourself this, in the moments when betrayal strikes most deeply, who has suffered more, the naive believer or the calculated deceiver? History offers countless lessons for those willing to see clearly. Consider Julius Caesar's assassination. Did Brutus betray him because he was inherently evil? No. Brutus betrayed Caesar because he calculated that loyalty to a man, however virtuous, threatened the republic as he imagined it. Caesar's trust was absolute, his power unquestioned, and that combination made him vulnerable. Absolute trust, without scrutiny, is an invitation for others to exploit. You see this every day if you dare to observe. The colleague who shares secrets without hesitation, the friend who expects unconditional loyalty, the business partner who assumes you will never question their motives. In each case, you are giving them a weapon disguised as confidence. Trust, when unguarded, becomes the leverage of others, a tool they can wield to bend your decisions, your resources, even your reputation. Ask yourself, who benefits when you believe blindly? Is it you, or the one who knows your boundaries are soft? Psychology teaches that humans favor advantage over fairness. We rationalize betrayal, excuse deception, and admire cunning when it serves us. Trust placed indiscriminately is not honored, it is tested, and eventually it is broken. Even in family, the truth is the same. Fathers and mothers often preach loyalty as if it were armor, yet in every family, alliances shift, resentment simmers, and emotions cloud judgment. To trust without measure is to hand others the key to manipulate your heart, and often your decisions. Observe the dynamics quietly. Who waits for your compliance? Who observes silently when you act? Who withdraws when your power wanes? These are not accidents, they are signals. Signals that trust can be exploited. Look to rulers and generals who understand this instinctively. The Duke of Milan, when advising his heirs, did not suggest trusting allies blindly. He instructed them to assess intentions, observe behavior, and always keep a margin of advantage. Trust was conditional, earned through repeated proof, and always leveraged strategically. When loyalty was uncertain, it was treated as temporary, and relationships were maintained only as long as advantage persisted. This is cold, perhaps, but effective. In your own life, trust functions the same way. It is never neutral. Every time you extend it freely, you hand over influence. Every time you question it, you retain power. The human mind is adept at masking self-interest in the language of friendship, love, or morality. And you, unless careful, are its easiest victim. This is why the wise measure trust as they would a weapon, carefully, with intent, and always with awareness of potential consequences. Consider how alliances in business or politics often crumble. The reason is rarely incompetence. It is miscalculated trust. One side assumes the other will act fairly because they believe in shared values. The other side acts in accordance with opportunity. The result is betrayal. The moral of the story is simple. To trust blindly is to surrender without resistance. To trust strategically is to protect and to dominate simultaneously. You may ask, does this make all relationships cynical? Not at all. But it makes them conscious. Every handshake, every promise, every smile carries a hidden calculation. What do I gain and what do I risk? The naive see gestures, the observant see leverage. The difference determines who survives, who rises, and who is quietly used. So when you feel compelled to trust, pause, observe. Ask yourself, who profit? As if I place my faith here. Who suffers if I withhold it? Do they truly understand my boundaries, or are they testing them? Trust becomes power only when it is selective, controlled, and maintained with awareness of human nature. Otherwise, it is a gift you cannot retrieve, a vulnerability you cannot undo. And here is the crucial point you must carry forward. Alliances that seem strong today can become your greatest traps tomorrow. Trust is not the foundation of security, it is a currency, to be spent, invested, and occasionally withheld. In the next segment, we will explore why emotions, if uncontrolled, become the easiest tool others use against you, and why mastery over your feelings can transform trust from a liability into an unassailable weapon. Because until you control what drives your choices, trust will always control you. Emotions are not yours alone. They are weapons others wield when you fail to master them. Anger, guilt, hope, and fear. They move decisions before reason can intervene. You believe feeling deeply is a virtue, but the world treats feeling without control as weakness. Have you noticed how quickly others exploit your reactions? How often a sudden outburst or a desperate plea shifts advantage to another? Consider Caesar and Pompey. Both commanded armies, both desired loyalty. But when fear and jealousy crept into their councils, decisions were made not by strategy, but by reaction. Pompey's fear led him to flee, abandoning Rome's capital. Caesar's disciplined control of his desire for vengeance allowed him to consolidate power. Emotional mastery was the difference between survival and exile, between legend and obscurity. Which of these paths do you wish for yourself? Humans are drawn to those who seem untouchable, who cannot be swayed by outrage or flattery. Emotional predictability is comfort. Emotional unpredictability is danger. But uncontrolled emotionality, anger that erupts, hope that clings blindly, guilt that cripples, invites manipulation. Others sense the unguarded heart. They test it, they push until you bend, and then they press further. This is not cruelty. This is observation of human nature. Have you observed it closely, or have you believed your impulses are private? Look at merchants in Renaissance Florence. Some succeeded not through innovation or honesty, but through disciplined poise. When rivals insulted them, they remained composed. When markets shifted, they did not panic. They understood that the human mind reacts faster than reason, and that by controlling their own reactions, they could control the perceptions of others. Emotional restraint became influence. Calm became authority. And authority attracted loyalty, deals, and opportunity. Yet mastery is not suppression. It is calculation. You do not erase anger. You measure when it serves you and when it destroys you. You do not eliminate hope. You channel it to motivate action, not deceive yourself. You do not deny fear. You recognize its signals, using it to anticipate danger rather than succumb to it. The man who controls emotions bends reality. The man controlled by emotions bends to the will of others. Ask yourself, which of these roles have you played too often without realizing it? In personal relations, the principle is the same. Observe how emotional manipulation operates daily, a compliment meant to unsettle, a sarcastic remark to provoke guilt, a subtle threat cloaked in friendship. Each is calibrated against the reactions of the target. And the untrained mind responds predictably: anger, embarrassment, defensiveness. How often have you unknowingly given others leverage over your choices simply by reacting? History is full of such examples. Lorenzo de' Medici maintained dominance not only through alliances and wealth, but through an almost imperceptible emotional strategy. He displayed affection, displeasure, and favor with a precision that ensured loyalty and obedience. One false step, one uncontrolled display of anger or hope, and the delicate balance of Florence could have shifted against him. Control of self was control of city. You may think that controlling emotions is cold or unnatural or even immoral. Consider instead what happens when you fail. Relationships fracture, opportunities vanish, reputations crumble. The man who yields to impulse becomes a tool, a puppet in the hands of the calculating. Emotion unchecked is the world's easiest lever. So what is required? Observation, restraint, and anticipation. Observe your own responses as if you were an enemy. Measure them. Decide which reactions serve your purpose and which surrender it. Allow others to react to your controlled emotion, not your uncontrolled one. Each smile, frown, or pause is a calculated signal, shaping perception, asserting influence. This is not performance. It is survival. It is strategy. It is dominance. And remember this, mastery over emotion is not final, it is constant. Every new person, every new situation is a test. A lapse in control is a gift to those who recognize it. The moment you believe mastery is complete, you have already surrendered to the next manipulator who studies your reactions more carefully than you study your own. In the next segment, we will explore why fear, when properly wielded, preserves authority better than love, and how the careful application of psychological pressure secures obedience without a single sword drawn. Because until you control the tides of your own mind, you remain the easiest instrument for someone else's ambition. Fear is stronger than love. This is not sentiment, it is observation. Humans are guided less by devotion than by anticipation of consequence. You may wish to be loved, admired, or followed for your virtues. But ask yourself, when loyalty is tested, what sustains it? When opportunity arises to defy, what restrains action? The answer is fear, or rather, the careful management of it. Consider the great princes of Italy. Lorenzo de' Medici ruled Florence not only through wealth and charm, but through a reputation that inspired caution. Citizens and rivals knew the cost of crossing him. Love brought goodwill, but fear maintained obedience. Those who relied solely on affection were overthrown, betrayed, or ignored. Those who understood the subtle balance of fear and respect endured. Fear does not mean cruelty without reason. It is a calculated instrument, a constant reminder that your authority carries consequences. A glance, a word, a pause, all can signal danger, restraint, or dominance. People obey most reliably when they understand the cost of defiance. Ask yourself, do those around you follow because they wish to, or because they anticipate why? Our reaction? The difference is the difference between being respected and being used. Look at Machiavelli's contemporary, Cesare Borgia. His ambition was unmatched, his methods precise. He cultivated affection when convenient, yet he inspired fear where loyalty faltered. When a city resisted his authority, he did not debate virtue. He executed consequences swiftly and publicly. The message was clear. Affection is fleeting, but fear is enduring. Those who misunderstood this principle were quickly discarded. Would you rather be loved for a moment or respected for a lifetime? Fear, unlike love, does predictable work. It does not fluctuate with moods, nor vanish with neglect. When managed with discipline, it guides behavior before rebellion arises. People act cautiously, calculate their moves, and align themselves with your objectives, not merely your promises. Observation is key. Who tests boundaries when you are absent? Who challenges your decisions subtly? These are the ones whose fear must be addressed before it becomes defiance. Yet, caution is required. Excessive fear leads to hatred, and hatred invites destruction. The astute ruler or strategist balances firmness with measured generosity. Display your power clearly, but temper it with justice or calculated reward. The threat must be credible, yet never perceived as arbitrary. Humans obey what they cannot challenge, but they despise what they cannot comprehend. Ask yourself, are your signals precise, or are they random? Outbursts that confuse and alienate. This principle applies not only to rulers, but to all who wish to maintain influence in business, authority, or personal relationships. Those who allow unchecked challenge invite erosion of control. A manager who tolerates insubordination will soon face chaos. A friend who ignores manipulation becomes a tool in someone else's game. Fear, when balanced, aligns behavior with your objectives without constant intervention. History demonstrates this endlessly. The Medici family survived intrigues that would have destroyed less disciplined dynasties. Their endurance was not in the charm of Florence, nor in generosity of character, but in a network of subtle intimidation, public and private, that ensured obedience even when affection was absent. Humans act first to avoid pain, then to seek reward. To ignore this is to misunderstand the foundation of influence. Ask yourself, when others confront you, do they hesitate? Do they calculate the cost of defiance before acting? Or do they challenge openly, testing your patience, probing for weakness? The answer reveals whether fear has been applied or neglected. Fear must be visible, credible, and consistent. It must exist even when you are absent. Without it, your authority is a castle built on sand. In practice, cultivate fear subtly. Let it be known, not shouted. Let consequences be anticipated, not executed capriciously. Allow admiration, but never as the primary instrument of compliance. Those who love you will forgive, forget, and drift. Those who fear the cost of betrayal will obey, even when loyalty fades. And here is the truth you must carry forward. Fear is not cruelty, it is strategy. It is a signal to all that your authority cannot be ignored, a mechanism to align behavior before conflict arises, a silent hand guiding the currents of human ambition. In the next segment, we will explore how preparation for conflict ensures dominance, and why anticipation of betrayal is the highest form of power. Because until you anticipate every challenge before it appears, fear alone is insufficient, and your influence remains fragile. Preparation for conflict is the highest form of peace. It is a paradox, yet the world operates by paradox. You believe peace is calm and war is chaos. Observe closely, the man unprepared for attack will experience neither calm nor control. He is swept aside by events he could have anticipated. True power lies in readiness, not in the illusion of harmony. Consider the city-states of Italy. Florence, Venice, and Milan survived centuries of intrigue not because they were gentle or virtuous, but because they anticipated every threat. Fortifications, spies, and alliances were not signs of paranoia. They were instruments of survival. A city unready for betrayal or invasion was consumed before it could understand what struck it. Preparation is dominance in its earliest, most subtle form. Ask yourself, how often do you enter situations expecting honesty and goodwill? How often do you assume others will act as you wish rather than as they will? Every negotiation, every alliance, every friendship carries the risk of betrayal. Those who fail to anticipate it are the first to suffer. The wise do not hope for loyalty, they calculate it. They do not pray for peace, they prepare for conflict. History provides endless lessons. Take Hannibal, who crossed the Alps with his elephants. He anticipated Rome's arrogance and overconfidence. Rome, unprepared for a winter assault through mountains, lost thousands before the first battle even began. The advantage lay not in arms alone, but in forethought, in preparation. The unprepared react. The prepared dictate terms. Which role do you play in your life? Preparation is not only about anticipating external threats, it is about fortifying your own mind and resources. Who will exploit your weaknesses if you leave them visible? Who will seize opportunity if you remain passive? Emotional resilience, strategic thinking, and controlled resources are your weapons. Every lapse in planning is an invitation for others to impose their will. Consider the Medici family again. Their survival was a masterclass in preparation. They did not rely solely on wealth, charm, or diplomacy. They cultivated spies, mapped loyalties, and predicted rival moves decades in advance. The Medici knew that enemies act when they perceive weakness. They created no weaknesses. They controlled perception and thus control. Outcomes. Anticipation was their armor. In your life, preparation manifests differently, but the principle is identical. Anticipate betrayal, delay, or resistance before it arrives. Observe motives, patterns, and intentions. Maintain reserves, emotional, social, financial. Never commit fully until the landscape is understood. When you are prepared, you can act decisively. When you are not, even the smallest challenge becomes a disaster. Psychology underscores this reality. Humans respond to urgency, fear, and scarcity more than reason or morality. Those who anticipate the emotional and strategic moves of others can guide outcomes before confrontation occurs. Those who fail react only after they have been cornered. Which position offers the advantage? Which secures respect, influence, and survival? Preparation also shapes perception. A man who moves with foresight appears confident, capable, and authoritative. Those around him hesitate, calculate, and defer. A man who is constantly surprised appears weak, uncertain, and easily manipulated. History favors the former. Florence, Rome, and the courts of Renaissance Italy demonstrate it repeatedly. The world rewards readiness, punishes neglect. Yet preparation is ongoing. Static defenses are insufficient. Threats evolve, allies shift, and opportunity arises where least expected. You must anticipate constantly, adjust continuously, and act decisively when the moment demands. A lapse is not merely a mistake, it is surrender. Ever. Why unprepared moment invites others to claim your place, your resources, your influence. Ask yourself this: when adversity comes tomorrow, will you dictate the terms, or will you be moved by the currents of chance? Will you foresee the betrayal before it strikes, or will you be caught flat-footed, scrambling to recover what could have been secured? Preparation is not a guarantee of success, but it is the only guarantee of survival, and survival is the prerequisite of every other victory. In the next lesson, we will explore how these principles converge, the balance of virtue, power, fear, and preparation, and why mastery over all four transforms a man from prey into predator. Because until you anticipate every move before it occurs, every relationship, every alliance, every challenge carries the risk of complete subjugation. And those who fail to prepare are always consumed first. Control is not declared. It is exercised silently. The world obeys those who shape perception, guide choice, and anticipate action. Do others follow you because they respect you, or because they cannot afford not to? Every smile, every word, every silence is a lever. Do you pull it, or are you pulled? Virtue without strategy is ignored. Kindness without calculation is exploited. Loyalty without leverage is purchased by others at your expense. Fear, respect, preparation, and subtle influence, these are the true currencies of power. Those who master them act unseen, yet their will moves empires. Decision. And hearts. Ask yourself, how many around you act freely, and how many move because you allow it? Every human interaction is a battlefield. Every alliance is temporary. Every obedience is conditional. Do not wait for the world to teach you. Take the lesson now. Comment below your observations. Share how power reveals itself in your life. Subscribe to uncover more strategies that the naive will never see. Use this knowledge. Shape reality quietly. Dominate without exposure. Because the world rewards the prepared and punishes the unaware.